Good afternoon, everyone. This is Bronwyn Scrivens here for Warehouse Wednesday, Vice President of Industrial at JLL in Edmonton, Alberta. This week, we get to learn about industrial rail service land and the logistics hub that is Edmonton, the Greater Edmonton Region. Greater Edmonton Region is serviced by two main rail lines, the CN and CPKC, CP Kansas City. CPKC was formed when CP and Kansas City merged to create a mega network that canvasses across Canada and into the United States, create kind of a cross North America network. These two rail lines come into different parts of our region and service different areas of our region. They both have yards, they both have intermodal sites, and they both connect directly on site for specific user groups. Within our region, the two rail lines connect, CN and CPKC, in Strathcona County. That's in our northeast quadrant where a lot of our robust energy market is. CN continues westbound into Parkland County and Acheson, and there's some intermodal yards and private yards out that way for CN and through the northwest. And then CPKC continues south towards our Nisku network through the southeast. So both service Edmonton Region, which is a really big value add for Edmonton over different cities across Canada. And the main users that we find from our market that are requiring rail servicing would be those in the energy services, petrochemical, for solvents, for fluids, for hard product. It could be users in the agricultural sector who have to transport bulk goods, fertilizer, grains. It could also be for anyone in the manufacturing or heavy industries who require transportation of pipe, construction materials, lumber, you name it. So because Edmonton is such an industrial city and such a logistics hub, due to our very robust high load corridors or highway corridors, our very impressive air cargo facilities at the Edmonton International Airport, and our connectivity to the Port of Prince Rupert, which is in northern BC. These rail lines have become very, very impactful for raw goods, for energy service goods, or even for drayage. Drayage is containers that are being offloaded from the ships, from the sea, being transported to a 3PL provider, which could be CN or CPKC, or it could be a private provider. We have some of those as well. And then being unloaded back onto trucks to be transported to the end user. There are three main ways that a user who requires rail service for their operations can get access to it. The first one would be through a transload site. This would be a site where the user can send their goods to them, they load it up and send it out, or the goods come into the transload site and they pick them up and take them from there. It could be through a shared spur or team track where basically a few groups have access to the same spur, a little bit more control, a little bit cheaper, but not complete control and not the cheapest. The third would be through a private spur that's on site, a specific business's land. This is the hardest to get, but it does provide the most control, and it actually can be the most cost effective for a business that has large quantities of goods that need to be brought in and sent out. The challenge with it being is that it has the largest input costs, whether it's for development or it's for acquisition of the land that already has rail spur or spurs brought to it through CN or CPKC. So when we're talking about costs for rail, if you are one of the very fortunate businesses that's able to find a site that already has a siding agreement, it already has a spur brought into the site from either of those providers, you could be looking north of $1 million per acre. It really depends on where the land is, how much track capacity there is, how large the actual site is, the other features of the site. But it can be very, very expensive. The main reason being is they're very hard to find. There's so many groups that are looking in the market to have more control over their rail offerings, and being able to pull it onto their own site is the gold standard of being able to actually control your own inputs and outputs on the rail. But CN and CPKC have to actually grant this to you, and it is becoming harder and harder to get spurs onto site because of the strong demand, and they really need to see a strong quantity of goods or a strong weight of goods coming in and going out to grant those today. Having said that, if you are able to get agreement or the ear of CN or CPKC, you're going to be looking anywhere from $2 to $4.5 million for each siding. This is just a rough estimate based off of all of the development costs, the environmental costs, and the permits that you'll need to go through. A rough rule of thumb I heard from a client today was $1,000 per meter of track. So it can add up very quickly, and it's not for the faint of heart. It's really just for the large users that are going to be using these track services very frequently and very robustly. The other thing to think about is that if you are going to be bringing a spur onto your land, you're looking at a timeline of anywhere from 9 months to 18 to 24 months, probably a year to 2 years to actually get all the permits in place, the environmental provisions that you need to do, and actually get the rail approvals from CN or CPKC. So long time frame to get this done, very expensive to get this done, and then there are going to be recurring costs that come from the rail operators to actually continue utilizing this site. They don't want to have sites that have been left unused or uncared for under their watch. So overall, Edmonton is an extremely rail serviced region, I would say. We have a very robust manufacturing, energy services, and agricultural sector, all of which require and need rail servicing, whether it's through transload, whether it's through a team track, or whether it's through their own on-site private track. If anyone has any questions about this type of land, or you're looking in our market, would love to have a discussion with you and kind of discuss the options and the pricing and the realistic nature of what you're trying to do. But yeah, that's, I think, a good overview for this week of Warehouse Wednesday. Once again, I'm Bronwyn Scrivens, Vice President of Industrial and JLL in Edmonton, Alberta, and I will see you guys next time.